So guys, in today's video, I have a breakdown here of my favorite solar warlock build. With this one, you're going to have 100% uptime on your solar turret, as well as spreading a lot of scorch and generating a load of ignitions and just ability energy in general. So we'll get into all the details here on this build, but before we do, as always, if you're going to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, as it's free to do and really does help me out here a ton. And a lot of you who watch aren't actually subscribed, so if you could do that, I'd very much appreciate it. But with all that being said, let's jump into today's build. Starting off with the actual abilities and stuff itself. Obviously, we're using Song of Flame. This super is just a lot of fun, so I enjoy it quite a bit. And it does some actual decent damage if you pair it with certain weapons as well. General abilities, I have Phoenix Dive, but you can use literally any of the abilities that you like. I just like Phoenix Dive because it only has a 55-second cooldown, and pairing it with a certain fragment will give you infinite uptime on your class ability. Going over Burst Glide, Incinerator Snap for the easy ignitions, and then Healing Grenade because I'm using Speaker's Sight, but you can switch this up if you're using a different exotic, which we'll get into later. In terms of the aspects, I have Hellion for my solar turret, and then Icarus Dash because I'm an addict with this ability. If you want to switch it up, you can, but the main one is Hellion as for your solar mortar, solar buddy, generating easy scorch stacks and ignitions. In terms of the fragments, I have Ember of Imperium, where my solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to me. Ember of Singeing, this is going to be the one that pairs nicely with the Hellion aspect, where my class ability energy recharges faster when you scorch targets, which your Hellion will be doing by itself, so your class ability feeds back into your class ability very, very nicely. You then also have Ember of Ashes, so that I apply more Scorch stacks to targets, and Ember of Searing, where defeating a Scorch target grants melee energy and creates a Fire Sprite, and then picking up a Fire Sprite will grant me Grenade energy just by default. So easily feeding into all of my abilities here with this build for some very high uptime on all of them. In terms of the weapons and armor that I'm using, for weapons I like using Red Death, but you can use literally any solar weapon, especially if it has incandescent. Red Death, if you don't know, final blows with this weapon will cure you and increase reload speed. Reloading after a final blow cures nearby allies. Alongside that, when you deal damage with the weapon, it gains increased handling, takes reduced flinch, and movement speed is increased for a short time. When you are at reduced health, the weapon deals additional damage. But the main thing is the Catalyst, where final blows charge the weapon, and when the weapon is charged, the next final blow creates a healing burst at your location, leaving a remnant behind that provides restoration to allies. This restoration to allies will give them restoration ×1, but it will also give you restoration ×2. Pairing that with the aspects that I use in this build, going to be infinitely reprocking the restoration effect, which is very, very strong. And the fact it gives restoration ×2 to you without even the need of Touch of Flame is absolutely insane. In terms of the armor that I'm using, I like to use Speaker's Sight in case I'm not using Red Death for some reason, just to give me that healing turret for very safe restoration application, as well as orb generation. Obviously, Dawn Chorus is a very good alternative for the improved Scorch effects, as well as the melee energy regeneration. Also, Sunbracers can be a good alternative on solar grenades as well, for the grenade spam. So there's a whole load of options in terms of exotics, and there's a whole load of options for alternate fragments as well. If you're not taking advantage of Imperium, where you're not using a solar weapon, you can instead go and use Ember of Solace for just the base increased duration on Radiant and Restoration effects. There's also a fragment here where your ignitions can spread Scorch to affected targets, which is also very, very good. And then Ember of Torches as well, so your powered melee can make you Radiant, which is very, very good. So a whole load of options there for you to tweak to your liking. Moving on to the artifact here, the main ones that I'm using is of course Solar Fulmination, so that my ignitions do increased damage and an increased radius. And then I also have Radiant Orbs, so that while I have a Solar or Prismatic subclass equipped, picking up an Orb of Power will make me Radiant. Free way of becoming Radiant for that easy damage boost. You can also throw on the other new artifact perks we got, like Incendiary Rifle Rounds if you're using a Solar Sniper, as well as Sniper's Meditation for the free damage there. And that's pretty much it for this build. It's a whole lot of fun, so I definitely recommend trying it for yourself. If you want to, there'll be a link in the description to a dim link where you can just copy this build for yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, so hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, as always, remember to leave a like and subscribe. That's it from me here today, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.